that someone in the palace was listening, because the very next day it was reported how it happened through the sometimes incredibly awkward pictures of them together over the royal version. And I think he also thought it would help sort of redeem himself.
The royal family has finally done it. After years of drama, public feuds, and endless speculation, sources close to the palace are saying what millions have been waiting to hear: Harry and Meghan have been officially cut off. No reconciliation, no royal return, no second chances. The plan to bring them back into the fold has completely fallen apart, and honestly, the fallout is absolutely wild. Richard Eden at the Daily Mail just dropped a bombshell report on what insiders are calling Project Thaw, a massive coordinated effort to warm up the Duke and Duchess of Sussex's ice-cold relationship with the rest of the royal family and the British public. We are talking strategic appearances, carefully planned photo opportunities, and a full-blown charm offensive designed to make everyone forget the past few years of chaos. But here's the thing, it has all collapsed spectacularly. But wait until you hear what really went down behind closed doors. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you do not miss what is coming next. And if you are already hooked, smash that like button. Let's dive in. So, what exactly was Project Thaw, and why was everyone thinking this would be the golden ticket back into royal life? Listen, this was not just some casual idea. Richard Eden's report shows this was a full-blown comeback campaign involving royal courtiers and some seriously powerful people. The goal was ambitious: to warm up Harry and Meghan's ice-cold relationship with the family and somehow convince the British public to give them another shot. The name Project Thaw says it all. After years of explosive interviews, all books, and constant public drama, the relationship between the Sussexes and the royals had frozen solid. There was no communication, no trust, and no path forward. So, this comeback campaign was designed to make everyone forget the chaos of the Oprah interview, move past the Netflix series, and overlook the memoir that dragged the family through the mud. You have to understand the motivation behind such a plan. On one hand, sources say you had King Charles, the father, who reportedly held out a sliver of hope for some kind of family peace, no matter how fragile. But on the other, more powerful hand, you had the seasoned royal machine. For them, Project Thaw was less about family feelings and more about strategic neutralization. The thinking was, if they could bring Harry and Meghan partially back into the fold, they could control them. A semi-royal role would, in theory, muzzle them, preventing another wave of all books or bombshell interviews. It was a calculated risk, an attempt to contain the Sussexes as a threat by giving them just enough of the royal spotlight they craved to keep them quiet. It was a classic institutional play: manage the problem by absorbing it. The plan involved a series of strategic appearances, timed leaks to friendly media, and a slow drip of reconciliation stories. Friends of the couple were already planting seeds, suggesting Meghan would return to Britain with humble pie, ready to apologize and make things right. The narrative was clear: Meghan and Harry want to come home. They miss the family, and they want their children to know their royal heritage. Behind the scenes, the idea was to reintegrate them into royal life without giving them full working royal status. They would show up at certain events and family occasions, having just enough presence to satisfy their need for relevance, but controlled enough that the palace could maintain boundaries. It was supposed to be a perfect win-win. Meghan's recent trip to Paris Fashion Week, that was not just a glamorous girl's trip, that was the opening move, the first major test of Project Thaw. She showed up looking polished, getting photographed with Anna Wintour, and reminding everyone of her star power. The photos were everywhere. Insiders say this was a calculated exercise to show her being accepted by the cultural elite. The theory was simple: if she could win over the fashion world, maybe she could win over Britain. Paris was the perfect warm-up act. The French fashion scene does not care about Oprah or Netflix. They care about style and influence. However, it backfired spectacularly. Instead of looking effortlessly chic, every move was scrutinized. Whispers about who paid for the trip started immediately. Awkward social interactions were caught on camera, and the infamous incident where she appeared to laugh at a model who stumbled on the runway went viral, painting her as cruel and out of touch. The trip that was meant to show her as a sophisticated global figure ended up reinforcing the narrative that she was trying too hard and lacked the grace for such elite circles. The opening move of Project Thaw was a catastrophic misstep. Now, here's where reality really started to mess with their plans. The numbers are absolutely brutal. Recent polling shows Harry and Meghan are at the bottom when it comes to popularity with the British public, with devastating levels of unpopularity. The only person ranking lower is Prince Andrew, and considering his situation, that says everything. They are less popular than someone exiled from public royal duties. People are not just lukewarm, they are actively against them. The overwhelming majority want their titles addressed, a massive rejection across the board that makes any comeback attempt look completely unrealistic. These are not old numbers, these are current figures after all the supposed rehabilitation efforts. The British tabloids, which they so despise, had a field day with these polls. Headlines were ruthless, commentary was brutal, and late-night talk shows both in the UK and abroad turned their unpopularity into a running punchline. The public sentiment was not just a data point, it had become a cultural phenomenon. Get this, even the people of Sussex themselves, the actual county their titles are attached to, are questioning the whole thing. They are wondering why the Duke and Duchess have a title associated with their region when they have not set foot there in years. Harry and Meghan are not engaging with the community or representing the area in any meaningful way. They are in California, completely disconnected from the place their titles represent. To the locals, the titles feel like accessories for their California brand. The writing is on the wall. Traditional media tactics and strategic photo ops were not moving the needle. The palace could throw all the resources they wanted at this comeback, but you cannot public relations your way out of something this fundamental. When the people you are supposed to represent do not want you, no amount of Paris fashion shows can fix it. The data was telling a story that Project Thaw just could not rewrite. So, with these numbers stacked against them, what did the royal family actually decide to do? Sources close to King Charles say he has given his blessing for a complete freeze-out. This is not a temporary break. This is a full stop. The door to any kind of reunion is sealed shut. Apparently, Charles, as their father and their king, has made peace with the fact that some bridges just cannot be rebuilt. And Prince William is reportedly even more firm. Word is he has already put mechanics in place to make serious decisions about their titles when he takes the throne. He is thinking long-term, and his plans for the future of the monarchy do not include Harry and Meghan in any active role. William has always been about protecting the institution, and after seeing the damage and drama, he has decided enough is enough. Here is what makes this whole thing even more wild. Remember the stories about Meghan returning to Britain with humble pie, ready to apologize? Insiders are calling this fantasy thinking. It was never going to happen. The palace was not entertaining it, and the family was not interested. The narrative was being pushed by people outside the actual decision, making circle. These so-called reconciliation stories were not coming from palace insiders, but from friends of the California couple trying to keep hope alive for a return that had already been rejected. It was like they were writing fanfiction about their own comeback while the decision-makers had already moved on. The palace was not plotting to bring them back, they were planning life without them. While Project Thaw was supposedly in full swing, the royal family had already made their final call. Now, let's talk about the final nail in the coffin. During that Paris Fashion Week trip, Meghan was photographed near a tunnel. If you know royal history, you know why this became a massive problem. People immediately connected it to Princess Diana, and the backlash was instant and brutal. Social media exploded. People were not just criticizing the photo, they were genuinely upset. The perception was that this was a calculated, manipulative move to draw emotional parallels. Whether that was the intention or not, the damage was done. Public perception became a reality, and it was not pretty. Here's the thing about rehabilitating your image: every move gets scrutinized. When you have burned through public trust like Harry and Meghan have, people look for the calculation and manipulation behind everything. This Paris tunnel situation illustrated the core problem with Project Thaw. You can plan all the strategic appearances you want, but if the public does not believe your intentions are real, none of it matters. In fact, it makes things worse. Every attempt to look relatable comes across as staged. Every effort to appear humble feels calculated. Every move to rebuild trust just reinforces the skepticism. The irony is that the more they tried to control the narrative, the less control they actually had. Each carefully orchestrated moment that was supposed to warm people up just made them colder. The Fashion Week appearance that was meant to show acceptance sparked controversy. The reconciliation stories, meant to soften public opinion, just made people roll their eyes. Project Thaw was not thawing anything, it was reminding everyone why they were frustrated in the first place. Okay, so let's talk about the business side of this, because that is what is driving a lot of the desperation. Harry and Meghan left the royal family to be financially independent, to build their own brand and sign their own deals. At first, it looked like they were pulling it off, with the Netflix deal, the Spotify deal, and the Hollywood power couple image. The money was flowing. But here is where it gets messy. Those deals are not delivering blockbuster success. The content has been met with mixed reviews, and in Hollywood, you are only as good as your last project. The initial excitement has faded, and studios that were throwing money at them are now being more cautious. The very public and acrimonious end to their multi-million-dollar Spotify deal was a major public failure, sending a clear signal to the industry that their brand might not be as bankable as once thought. The problem is that their entire brand is built on their royal connection. What are people interested in? The insider access, the family drama, the palace secrets. Take that away, and what do you have? Without their titles and connection to the world's most famous family, Harry and Meghan are just another celebrity couple in an extremely crowded Los Angeles market. Hollywood's interest was never about them as individuals. It was about their access and ability to spill royalty. The industry cares about what your title can deliver in terms of content and revenue. But there is only so much of that you can monetize before people get bored. The Oprah interview was huge, the Netflix documentary got attention, and the book sold copies. But now what? How many times can you tell the same story before audiences move on? Their brand is built on a depleting resource, their personal grievances with the monarchy. This is why Project Thaw was so appealing to them. Repairing the relationship, even partially, would instantly boost their brand value. They would have new material, new stories, new relevance. They could do documentaries on the reconciliation, or position themselves as bridge builders between tradition and modernity. But staying frozen out means their most valuable asset, their royal connection, loses value every day. That is terrifying when you are trying to build a media empire. The distance from the royal family is not just a personal problem, it is a business crisis. Without that connection, they are competing in a marketplace where everyone is trying to be the next big thing, and the window for staying relevant closes pretty quickly. Now, here's something people have been whispering about. What if Harry ever wanted to come back alone? Would the family take him back? The theory is that if he showed up genuinely broken and remorseful, they might let him back in, not as a working royal, but just as a quiet family member in the background. But here is the massive problem. Harry does not do quiet. The man wrote a book, did a documentary, and goes on podcasts to air his grievances. Silence and discretion are not in his vocabulary. The idea of him quietly fading into the background seems impossible. The royal family knows taking him back would mean more drama and headlines, and they have made it clear they are done with that. It is either all in with complete discretion or stay out completely. Here is what many do not get about the royal family. They think in generations. While Harry and Meghan focus on their next deal, the institution is planning decades ahead. King Charles and Prince William understand that the monarchy survives by upholding traditions and protecting the institution above individual desires. If they cave to Harry and Meghan now, what message does that send? That you can trash the family, profit off royal connections, and still be welcomed back? That is how institutions crumble. And the public does not want them back. The devastating poll numbers make reconciliation impossible. Project Thaw was a fantasy, built on the idea that PR could fix a fundamental breakdown of trust. It could not. The royal family cannot last them. Their relevance is temporary, their celebrity status is fading, and their commercial value drops with every controversy. Meanwhile, The institution keeps moving forward with William and Catherine representing the future. The final cutoff is not cruel, it is necessary. It is the institution protecting itself from people who have proven they cannot be trusted. Project Thaw was doomed from the start because it was based on the arrogant assumption that the royal family needs Harry and Meghan more than they need the royal family. The opposite is true. Without their royal connection, they are just another celebrity couple trying to stay relevant. Without them, the monarchy thrives. So, where does this leave us? The truth is clear. One side desperately needs the royal connection, and the other side is doing just fine without them. Harry and Meghan bet everything on leveraging their titles, but that only works if the royal family plays along, and they are not playing anymore. Meanwhile, the monarchy, with William and Catherine, looks more stable than it has in years. Project Thaw was not about healing, it was about desperation dressed up as reconciliation. Now that it has collapsed, we see the real situation. This separation is not just protecting the royal family from drama, it is protecting both sides from a toxic relationship. Sometimes, the healthiest thing to do is accept that some bridges are better left burned. So, what do you think? Is this really the permanent end, or could something still shift? Do Harry and Meghan have any path back, or is that door sealed for good? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I genuinely want to know what you are thinking. And if you made it all the way to the end, you are clearly invested in this drama. So, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you do not miss what happens next. Trust me, this story is far from over. Smash that like button if you found this interesting, and I will see you in the next one.